And now, WWE Network presents Survivor Series Kickoff.
And the countdown is flat out on. Fans have just started to file in here to the sold-out Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. And what a night it is going to be. Welcome to the Survivor Series Kickoff Show, a show that 1 hour is just not enough. As we bring you inside, boy, we are excited. It is the most unique night of its kind in the history of the WWE. Team Raw, they're ready. Team SmackDown, they're ready too. But tonight, NXT spoils the party, and this will really set up what 2020 has in store for us in the WWE Universe. Hello once again, everybody. I am the coach, your host. Let's get to know our panel for hour number one. To my immediate left, the lovely and incredibly talented Charlie Caruso.
Thank you so much, Coach. You know, we're all very excited for Survivor Series, and I will say one thing. If NXT TakeOver last night is any indication of what we can expect tonight, we are in for one hell of a night.
To my immediate right, he is a two-time WWE Hall of Famer. He is the co-host of the incredibly entertaining WWE Backstage.
Where's my camera?
It's right there.
Right
it's
here.
right there.
Hey, we're here at Survivor Series, but I know you guys are checking out the beard, checking out the shine, checking out the gloss. If you want to know more, go to moreunique.com. Use promo code Booker.
You are looking very expensive tonight. Very expensive.
Well, you know, he's got that Fox money. As he got those promo codes. To our left, he's the finest dressed man in all of the WWE. No offense, Booker T. He's Harvard educated, and he had everybody over at his house last night for dinner. Thank you, David Otunga.
I don't know about that. What about my beard line? Thank you. We're in Chicago. Survivor Series is finally back in Chi-Town, my hometown. In 1989, I sat way up there at the top, my first ever WWE pay-per-view event. Now I got the best seat in the house, though.
That's Chi-Town love.
This is an arena that has had so many great moments over the years. Booker, Survivor Series is notorious for providing us with those great moments.
Yeah, I mean, this is that night where it can make your night. And tonight we got a whole lot of tricks for you that we're going to go into the bag and bring out for you. But Belly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, Fury 5 said it back in the day. Better, it's called survival in order to stay alive. It's called survival, 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 survival.
Survival.
There it is.
You already
Survival.
know.
We got it. We got it. Well, look, I will say one thing. Survival is on everyone's mind, and there's only one way for everyone at home to survive this evening, because Survivor Series is only on one place and one place only. That's on the WWE Network. So everybody, right now, you have one job. Head on over to WWENetwork.com and sign up, because Survivor Series is free for new subscribers, but doesn't stop there. Next month's TLC also free for new subscribers. So head on over right now. Coach, let's run through the card.
Oh, we got a lot to get to. How about this one? Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar, no holds barred, no disqualification, WWE Championship. This isn't just David against Goliath. This is about Rey Mysterio trying to figure out a way to harness all of the emotions tonight and do the unthinkable. Beat the Beast.
And tonight, Daniel Bryan throwing caution to the wind when he willingly, yes, willingly, steps into the ring with the Fiend Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship. Will he escape the darkness with the title in tow? We find out tonight at Survivor Series.
And Pete Dunne could be the MVP of the entire weekend if he's victorious tonight. He won this opportunity last night in a triple threat match. A chance tonight to face that man, Adam Cole, for the NXT Championship.
And it is an ultra-explosive triple threat showdown as the United States champion AJ Styles, Intercontinental champ Shinsuke Nakamura, and the North American champ Roderick Strong face off. And we know their cohorts are all going to be lurking by.
And don't worry, we still have your traditional 5-man Survivor Series elimination match with a twist. Team Raw, Team SmackDown, and we will find out later on this hour when none other than the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, comes to the set, who the 5 members of Team NXT will be here live tonight.
And tonight we also find out which brand boasts the best women's division. The first ever 5-woman Survivor Series elimination match between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT will answer that very question.
And we start the show with this. 2019 has been the year of the man, Becky Lynch. But joining her to help drive the women's revolution, well, Bayley. New haircut, new look, new attitude. How about the curveball? Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion. This is going to be an amazing, emotion-filled match. It's triple threat for all the bragging rights.
First time ever, Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler, Bayley head-to-head competition.
Here I stand, the Raw Women's Champion, the man, the face of this whole damn business. If Shayna Baszler or Bayley think that I'm gonna stop fighting, they haven't been paying attention to my career. Because the only thing that I really fear in life is not being the greatest.
Hello, Becky. I've been waiting a long time to meet you face to face.
One of the most dominant champions in NXT.
I want to make something very clear.
That is a submission magician.
That Survivor Series, I'm not going to take my eyes off of Bayley. The only thing you'll have to think about is which one of your limbs will belong to me.
Just gonna keep an eye on me? Are you freaking kidding me? You're damn right you're gonna keep an eye on me because I'm the only person in that match that has held the Raw, NXT Tag Team, and SmackDown Women's Championship. Every time I've been in the ring lately, it's been personal because it's finally about me. I compete for me and me only. And now Shayna and Becky will never think of me as an afterthought ever again.
Apparently, you aren't getting the message. I'm the most dominant woman this division has ever seen.
I said I was gonna elevate the division and I did exactly that.
Oh my God!
I am here to remind you just who the hell I am.
Who is gonna survive at Survivor Series?
JBL, we're on the stage that is going to lead those three women to that ring tonight at Survivor Series. But, you know, I resent the fact that people are acting like this is Shayna Baszler's opportunity to spoil something. Realistically, if you watch the programs, you know that NXT clearly has the best women's division, not only in WWE, but in the entire wrestling industry. Shayna Baszler is the dominant champion of that division. That division is better than it was when Becky Lynch was there, when Bayley was there. That means Shayna Baszler is clearly better than Becky Lynch and than Bayley.
That's a matter of opinion, Sam. What's not a matter of opinion is how good I look standing right next to you and how tired I am of hearing about Harvard-educated David Otunga. Look, I went to Abilene Christian, the Fine Institute of the South. Nobody ever brings it up, but that's a separate point. The point is we're at Survivor Series, the second longest running pay-per-view in WWE history. Started as a response to Jim Crockett trying to lock up the pay-per-view window on Thanksgiving, but think about what's happened at Survivor Series. Debut of The Rock in '96, debut of Kurt Angle in '99, vice versa, and also you had the Montreal Screwjob in '97. Hulk Hogan defeated by The Undertaker in '91. It's become a time-honored tradition, and now you're seeing something I think that's unprecedented in our business history. Can you imagine back in the '80s seeing Hulk Hogan versus Harley Race versus Ric Flair in a triple threat match? That is what we're seeing today. Three incredible champions in this women's match fighting for supremacy. This to me is absolutely unprecedented. It's absolutely awesome, and I can't wait for it.
Well, if you could get your nose out of that history book and we could talk about what's going on in the present, Shayna Baszler has that opportunity to make that impression here at Survivor Series. But look,
why don't you get your nose out of sucking up to NXT, okay? You're the only person in the world right now more hated than me in this business, okay? So look, Shayna also had a match last night at War Games, okay? You did not have that with the other two competitors, all right? You cannot come off that and be any way this match goes any length at all, prime condition to win a championship.
John, Bayley she's the women's champion of SmackDown. She's still only the second biggest woman on that show. Sasha Banks is a more powerful female on SmackDown. Becky Lynch is clinging for dear life to still be the most relevant person in sports entertainment. Shayna Baszler is who's here and who's now. Nobody can beat her, and that's not going to change tonight.
Can you imagine the Patriots playing a game before the Super Bowl the night before? That's what Shayna Baszler did last night, okay? So, I mean, sorry, but you can get your head out of the clouds, and you have a right to be wrong. You are wrong, by the way. And Shayna Baszler may be best on a given night, not after last night with War Games.
Well, I'm normally not wrong. You can see the match on the WWE Network. Of course, that's free for new subscribers. But, John, I believe that we have to send it back to the secondary panel with the coach.
Almost funny, Sam.
That's very entertaining.
Yeah, let's turn our attentions now to what is going to be a fight tonight for the WWE Championship. And this one is personal, dangerous. 2 months ago, Brock Lesnar brutally attacked Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic. Since then, Rey Mysterio found himself squarely in the crosshairs and trying to stay one step ahead. Tonight, the biggest obstacle ever for the ultimate underdog is the Beast.
Brock Lesnar is entitled to do whatever the hell he wants to do. Brock Lesnar imposed his will on Rey Mysterio, victimized Mysterio's son Dominic, right in front of Mysterio. Later that week, Brock Lesnar took by force.
And Brock Lesnar quickly with Kofi Kingston and an F5!
The WWE title from Kofi Kingston.
And the new WWE Champion!
But Rey Mysterio brought back the ghost of Brock Lesnar's past, former UFC heavyweight champion, Dominic Mysterio's godfather, Cain Velasquez.
And look at Velasquez with the rights and lefts to the base. Lesnar trying to retreat.
This really pissed off Brock Lesnar. So my client demanded that I grant Cain Velasquez a title match against Brock Lesnar.
And Velasquez with a kick to the head. And Lesnar's down. And there's Velasquez. Oh my goodness. And right to the knee.
Brock conquered Cain. Then came Rey Mysterio.
And Rey Mysterio taking the fight to Lesnar.
Brock doing everything he can to protect himself from the chair shots of Mysterio.
Brock, you try to take everything from me. You attack my family, I'm mi familia. My son, Dominic, mi sangre. So as the passage says, pelea fuego contra fuego. Fight fire with fire.
Wait a minute! There he is! Mysterio beating down the Beast!
Came after what's most important to me. At Survivor Series, I'm not coming for an apology. I'm coming for the WWE Championship.
So let's make this even more interesting. Brock Lesnar, Rey Mysterio, no holds barred. At Survivor Series, Miracle.
Mysterio wins the title!
Or Massacre. Miracle or Massacre. Miracle or Massacre. We all find out together.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the advocate to the WWE Champion, the Beast, Brock Lesnar, and my guest at this time, Mr. Paul Heyman.
That was terrible. That was just horrible. Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, see? Now you've put emphasis on my name. Why should there be emphasis on my name? Because I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE heavyweight champion of the world, Brock Lesnar. See, then now you're identifying the champion, the beast that drives the brand, the conqueror of the WWE Universe. Why is Brock Lesnar the conqueror of the WWE Universe? Because tonight It's miracle or massacre. What could be the miracle? Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, the underdog. Rey Mysterio holding his injured son in his own arms, cradling his son after his son was beaten into oblivion by the beast Brock Lesnar. And here's Rey Mysterio taking a steel pipe and viciously attacking Brock Lesnar to where all these rumors are around that Brock Lesnar's not at 100%. That tonight is the night that Rey Mysterio pulls off the miracle. Or is Brock Lesnar a miracle killer? And tonight delivers to you a massacre of Rey Mysterio, the likes of which WWE has never seen before, and after tonight, I assure you, will make provisions that you never see again. Miracle or massacre? You tell me.
Well, it's quite obvious that Paul Heyman has absolutely no faith in Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, though, enters tonight. He's fired up, ready to avenge his family. But we do know this match, it's no holds barred, no disqualification. So is Rey. Is he going to be ready for the Beast?
Well, I think absolutely. I mean, Brock crossed the line when he involved Rey's son, Dominic, when he put his hands on him. And I mean, as you two men know, somebody puts their hands on your kid, they're going to see a whole different side of that man. And I think the fact that this is a no DQ match levels the playing field, if not gives Rey an advantage. I mean, we saw what he can do with the steel pipe, with the steel chair. So I don't think it's going to be a miracle at all. But I can't believe I'm saying this. I think Rey's going to come out on top.
What are you thinking, man? What do you think? I get your point. I totally get your point. As far as, Rey willing to do anything. If we was in the real world, I can understand that, but everything here is, we got rules, we got regulations. Rey's going to have to come out.
Not tonight.
I mean, of course not, but in a confined setting is what I'm saying. Brock Lesnar is not going to underestimate what Rey Mysterio can do to him, especially after the lead pipe. He's not going to do that. And you can just tell by what Paul Heyman was saying right there, it's very, very meticulous. Everything seemed like to be in order as far as what Brock Lesnar is going to go out here and do. Not only what he's going to do to Rey Mysterio, but he's going to make him suffer. What I wrote down here was miracle or massacre. Massacre. That's what I'm
Okay, so let me ask you guys this, though, because we have to look at it from Rey's point of view. He has climbed the mountain and defeated some of the biggest names in the history of the business.
Yeah.
Fact. What does he need to do tonight to pull off the miracle part of the massacre statement?
Go ahead.
He needs to take advantage of the fact that this is a no DQ match. Do whatever he has to do. I would say keep that steel pipe right by him and do anything else he can to get an advantage.
This is the way I look at it right here. Rey Mysterio has climbed to the mountaintop. He beat some of the biggest guys in this big business, including Big Show. But when he came out with that lead pipe, it told me one thing. The man who throws the first punch is the man who has clearly run out of ideas.
Wait.
I was letting that marinate for a second. I was going to let that marinate.
You like that, though?
Didn't Brock strike first? If I'm not mistaken, though, Brock struck first in all this and kicked it off.
Well, but I'm talking about the lead pipe needing an advantage. Brock Lesnar went out and he's handling business with his hands. Brock Lesnar don't need nothing but that 265 pounds of romping, stomping, grave digging destruction that he's about to come out here and put on Rey Mysterio tonight. It's gonna be ugly.
I mean, you can't ignore the size difference.
If you have to turn away from your televisions, do so.
I thought for a second we were going to break into an episode of Promo School there for Booker T right there.
I think we did,
we did just a little bit. That's later on tonight, Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Also tonight, you don't have to wait until 7 Eastern to see live in-ring action, because right here on the Kickoff Show, how about the cross-branded tag team Battle Royal? Every single one of these faces has an opportunity to have the spotlight on them early in the evening.
And also happening on the Kickoff Show, the Cruiserweight Championship is up for grabs as Raw's Akira Tozawa, SmackDown's Kalisto, and NXT's Lio Rush, the current champion, do battle tonight.
And how about this? A triple threat match. Champions, Viking Raiders, Undisputed Era. Boy, their egos have never been bigger. I love it. And the New Day. Clearly the New Day is the big names here, but they have to watch out. Tonight, anything can happen. All that goes down right here live on the Kickoff Show.
Hi, this is WWE Superstar Big Show, and I'm here in Times Square celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Angry Birds. And right here, Angry Birds has set up a venting machine. You bet whatever you're angry about, and that machine's going to give you some cool prizes. Angry Birds, here we go! You ready? Let's go! Keep punching, keep punching. Stop with the homework. I'll do better for you. Where's my championship title? All right, you ready? I got my title, baby! Angry Birds, thank you very much. I feel so much better. All right, who we got next? There you go, come on, get to it! All right, let me see what you guys want. You've got 5 tickets to our December holiday Madison Square Garden show. You can also bring the anger in Angry Birds 2. Download now for free.
We continue to have this sold-out crowd here at the Allstate Arena filing in as we are sold out later tonight, 7 Eastern on the WWE Network. Now, Survivor Series kickoff brought to you by Grubhub. Hungry? Tag team mealtime with Grubhub. Get $10 off your first delivery order of $15 or more with code SURVIVOR at checkout. Grubhub, restaurants you love, delivered. Well, last night here in Chicago, NXT TakeOver War Games. It wasn't just the men, also the women stepped in to an iconic night.
On a historic Survivor Series weekend, NXT TakeOver Chicago features first ever Women's War Games match.
Let the War Games begin!
Turned on Tegan Knox. 4-on-2 for Team Baszler. The Ultra right now. Give up on the clip. That's it. Ripley's handcuffed herself to Baszler. Riptide out of the chairs. Against all odds, Team Ripley wins the first ever Women's War Games match.
3 battle-ready warriors charge headfirst into the belly of the beast, but are they going to be joined by their 4th member to even the odds? War Games happens now.
Scorched earth, no holds barred war. A maelstrom of mayhem. We still don't know if Team Ciampa's a 4th member. What? The KO show has returned to NXT. What a game changer this is. It doesn't get more dangerous than this. No way, watch out. What an incredible night! Team Ciampa's victorious. Team Ciampa survives.
JBL, there's no doubt everything that we saw last night is going to have an effect on tonight. Just about every match that involves an NXT superstar is going to be affected by what we saw at TakeOver War Games. But it's not just NXT that was affected specifically by the men's War Games match. Kevin Owens coming out as a surprise participant has to do 2 things for Team Raw. Number 1, you've got a damaged player on the team now. And number 2, you've got to question Kevin Owens' alliance on an already damaged team. You've got Seth Rollins, who's the weakest team captain in the match by a mile. I mean, he couldn't keep the Universal Championship on Raw. You listen to the reaction that he's been getting on television lately, and clearly I'm not wrong on that. And now one of his team members was fighting for the opposite team last night.
I don't think crowd reaction has anything to do with whether you're a good captain or not. I agree with most of your points. I don't agree with you about Seth Rollins. I agree with you about Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens is damaged goods tonight. I don't see how he could not be. I don't think you can trust Kevin Owens. I don't think that Kevin Owens or Randy Orton is going to follow Seth Rollins, but I don't think it really matters. Randy Orton to me is the wild card in all of this. It's hard to say a guy who's been a champion as much almost as anybody in history is a wild card. 15 eliminations in Survivor Series. I love NXT. I'm a huge fan of NXT. I think they have something to prove, and I think they've got a chip on their shoulder, which I admire. I think they also went through hell last night, and they're beat up today. But I think Randy Orton, it's the experience, it's the old guy, it's one of the greatest of all time. I think Randy Orton is the wild card in all this, and I think it bodes very well for Team Raw.
John, I don't know how much you know about War Games matches, but when you look at NXT, and everything that they went through last night, what do you think is going to affect them more? The damage that they went through in those 2 War Games matches, or the high that they're going to be on after pulling off an amazing show walking into Survivor Series?
They're young. It's the high. There's no doubt about it. It's hard to have 2 great nights back-to-back. You look at teams, you look at athletes, you look at people who try to do 2 things big back-to-back, especially young guys who aren't used to pacing themselves over a long, grueling schedule. They put everything on the line last night. Did an incredible job. They're beat up. I think they can handle that due to youth. The idea of coming back and getting back to that emotional high tonight, that is very hard to do, and I think that to me gives a team like Roman Reigns, gives a team like King Corbin, gives somebody like Randy Orton, leans the advantage to those guys.
Well, John, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to stay here with you, there's somebody in my ear telling me I have to send it back to the coach. Luckily,
that's a dollar throwing to a dime, us throwing to Jonathan Coachman.
Luckily, I've heard there's somebody there with him that we actually want to hear.
JBL once again, hilarious.
Did he say dime piece?
Now, yes. Now, there was something that JBL said right there that I want to kind of tag, something to prove. And certainly tonight, the NXT superstars have that, but they also have great leadership, great mentorship. And on that note, we welcome to the set right now one man who has been a vital part in the development of the NXT superstars, and that, of course, WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn, you're here for a couple of different reasons. Before we get to your announcement of the 5 NXT superstars, you've been in several Survivor Series over the years. What is the mindset you have to have as this is such a different night?
Simple. Survive. Survive and thrive. And that's exactly what NXT is here to do tonight. And that people have to understand, I hear you were implying at the beginning of this again that we are somehow the ones, the odd men out, the ones that sort of stirred the trouble here. You bet we did. That's what NXT does. These young men and women are ready to show the world who they are. They have put themselves on the map. They are passionate. They are hungry. They are desirous. And that is something that this line of work in the WWE needs a pump of life
big time
breathed into it, and that is NXT.
So
it's going to happen tonight.
With Riddle, right? I can tell.
Because of War Games, last night, you had to wait to see who was going to be able to compete here tonight. But now you have your 5, so if you don't mind, please tell the world who the 5 superstars will be competing tonight.
Yeah, well, first I got to say it's tough to narrow it down to 5, but that's what we did. First one is going to be the man who wants his name to live forever. That is Damian Priest, the man who never misses a fight, Matt Riddle. You're going to get a chance to bask in his glory, Keith Lee. And, of course, one of the baddest men in NXT, Tommaso Ciampa. And then, of course, to cover all of our bases, to make sure we've got it all covered, a little diversity, something for everybody, the NXT UK champion, Walter, is going to be here tonight. That is absolutely a group that is going to be hard to beat. It touches on absolutely everything that makes this job great. They are going to be tough to beat.
I mean, those men had terrific performances last night. Talking to them today, how are they feeling? Are they ready to go again?
Are you kidding? You heard John talking about it. Youth, they are hungry, they are passionate. He says it's tough to do it night after night. It is for regular people. They are coached by people and led by people who don't exactly do things the way everybody else does them. All right, they are coached and trained with attitude, with a little slant of a degenerate hit in each and every one of them. They go out there to stop the show. They go out there understanding that they are home run hitters. To be a home run hitter, to have that reputation, you got to hit home runs. They did it last night. They do it every Wednesday night. They are going to do it tonight at Survivor Series. NXT lets the world know who they are tonight.
All right, quickly, I want to get your thoughts on what happened last night at War Games and your takeaways from what you saw, specifically Pete Dunne and the Adam Cole situation that leads into tonight.
Look, they're both, it's going to be a war of attrition. Make no doubt about it. Pete Dunne didn't come out of his match 100%. Adam Cole certainly didn't. I mean, he did go through a war last night, and then combined with the stretch, the run that he has had over the last several weeks has been nothing short of phenomenal. Look, he is going to be pushed tonight. We're going to find out how much he's got left in the tank, but he is an Iron Man.
We'll definitely find out how both of those men, how much they have left in the tank. Last night, we saw that triple threat match between Pete Dunne, Damian Priest, and Killian Dane. All of this, the winner coming out to earn an NXT title opportunity tonight against Adam Cole at Survivor Series. We saw Pete Dunne emerge victorious. Sean, you already said it, he's not at 100%, but neither is Adam Cole, so tonight will be very interesting to watch. But on that note, let's go backstage to Cathy Kelley. We're gonna... Yes, tonight at Survivor Series, we will see who will emerge victorious between Pete Dunne and Adam Cole as they battle for the NXT Championship. So on that note, here we go. This is the right time. Let's send things backstage to Cathy Kelley.
Please welcome my guest at this time, NXT champion, Adam Cole. Adam, last night you led Undisputed Era into a chaotic War Games match at TakeOver. Are you feeling 100% heading into your title defense tonight against Pete Dunne?
100%. Cathy, look at my week. Raw, SmackDown, a ladder match on NXT, and less than 24 hours ago, I was in War Games at NXT TakeOver. So no, of course I'm not 100%. But unfortunately for Pete Dunne, I'm still Adam Cole, baby. And don't get me wrong, Pete Dunne was a great champion. The longest reigning NXT UK champion of all time, but he's never had a week like I've had. And that's not me complaining, by the way, I'm bragging. Because myself and the Undisputed Era, we are the measuring stick of NXT. And even though Pete Dunne is a part of our brand, I'm gonna treat him like I would a Raw or SmackDown superstar. Showing Pete Dunne what a superior champion, what a superior brand looks like. And that, Cathy, that's undisputed.
Hey, Sean, I want to start with you, and then we'll get the take from David and Booker as well. When he said, I'm still Adam Cole, baby, you can't argue with that.
It is, and it's hard not to dig the kid. Are you kidding me? Boom. But I mean, look, I got to tell you, Pete Dunne, though, he is as scrappy as they come. And look, he's just a mean dude, and Pete Dunne don't care.
He's scary.
Yeah, he is. And look, it's going to be a classic match. When everything is said and done, the best man's going to win. That is what we want in NXT. We want the best to represent NXT. As the NXT champion, Pete Dunne did it for a long time, longer than anybody as the UK NXT champion. But tonight, he's going to see if he can take it to another level.
And this is really the only match that NXT will be the focus. They'll be out there, nobody else around.
Oh, they'll be the focus in every match they're in, I can promise you.
Ooh, strong words.
Your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I just want to talk to Sean about something on a side note. As far as
I'm fixing to get beat up in
no,
real life.
you got guys like Matt Riddle, man, who stepped into the game and he's taken off. I mean, like got the rocket put on him and he's going straight to the moon. And the kid's got an attitude. How much of an influence are you as far as corralling those guys and telling them, hey, make your own rules and play it by your own your own beat. How much?
Well, look, but you know very well how we did things.
I know how you did it.
No, and that's what I'm saying. But I'll tell you honestly, we give them a lot of freedom. We want them to get out there. Look, sometimes, as you know, it's hard to harness. Sometimes you got to get it all channeled in the right direction. But the passion, the fire that they have, we just do what we can to make sure it's all focused in the right direction and not at us. And thankfully, we're on their team, and they understand that we support them. So the thing is, Look, it's a tap dance.
Real.
It is a struggle. It is
real.
real. It is every bit real, but it is a blast to do. We wouldn't have it any other way.
You know what? Even though you are trying to channel everything in the right direction, sometimes it seems in NXT when you do let the superstars loose, that's when the most beautiful things happen.
Well, look, I know it did for us. You know, Triple H, Road Dogg, myself, we all know that when we had that freedom, when you let us go out there, that is when everything changed in this line of work. We believe that's exactly what we're harnessing with our NXT superstars today. They are all hungry. They are passionate. Heck, half of them, you know, grew up with some attitude, and for the love of God, we can't keep them from doing it. I mean, who would we be to talk to say, now, don't you dare do that?
That's right. David, real quick, jump in.
Yeah, I have a question about that. Speaking of which, you know, all these guys are super talented, and like you said, you bring them up with the attitudes. How do you think they're going to be able to work together tonight on the same team?
Well, look, Brant, this is all of NXT. Look, they've all, as you know, we can all get on one another in the locker room, but when somebody on the outside steps in, we all band together, do we not?
Yes, it's like if somebody hit my brother, you know, I got a problem. We can fight all day.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
If somebody else, you know, we got a problem.
You may not like me in the locker room, but if somebody on the outside steps in, you and I are going to get together. Him better than us.
Let somebody hit the ring and see what happens.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Exactly. All right. So that's the men's side of the things in the Survivor Series traditional match. But, Sean, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
I can talk to the ladies, too.
All right, then hang right there. You're not going anywhere because that's exactly where we're going. So we now know who the 5 NXT men's superstars are. Last night, at NXT War Games, Triple H was a guest on Facebook Live, and he announced the 5 women that will be in the traditional Survivor Series match.
You are our captain, so who is your team?
Well, my team consists of, first of all, the one person that I know I can trust and that has stood by me through absolutely everything. She's Candice LeRae. I pick her because she's tough. She has heart, and I know I can trust her, unlike some people. Bianca Belair and Io Shirai, they are incredible, incredible athletes and competitors, and I want that on my team for NXT.
War brings out respect in people, doesn't it?
Exactly. And if we're going to go to war against Raw and SmackDown at Survivor Series, I want the best on my team. And as for the last person on my team, this person is someone that I've known since I was 16 years old in Australia. I grew up with this person. I know exactly what she's about, and I know exactly how bad she wants this. From NXT UK, my last person is Toni Storm.
Yeah. Awesome.
Pretty good team, right?
I would not want to be Raw. I would not want to be SmackDown.
Nope.
Yeah, that is a team to be reckoned with.
It is impossible for Triple H to hide his satisfaction over the revealing of this team. So here it is, Ripley, LeRae, Storm, Sheree, and Blair. What an incredible 5 women tonight in that Survivor Series match.
And another woman who has her hands full tonight, it is the women's champion, Shayna Baszler, joined by Jessamyn and Marina. She knows exactly what she brings to the table, and she has been very aggressive in showing just that to Bayley and Becky in recent weeks. I cannot wait to see this match tonight.
Well, Shayna Baszler looks like she's all business. Well, Bayley has been all business for the better part of 4 or 6 weeks, and she joins us now live, the SmackDown Women's Champion here on the Kickoff Show. Bayley, clearly you've got 2 women you're going up against tonight that are very, very difficult. What is your game plan, without giving too much away, for this triple threat match?
My game plan is to do what I've been doing the past month. That's taking over every single show, every single brand, but doing it on the biggest stage, Survivor Series, and doing the same thing I've been doing for 7 years, being a champion.
Bayley, it seems like really at the beginning of things, there was really the aggression really focused on Becky and Shayna, and then you really stepped in there and showed them that you're not someone that should be, you know, kept in the shadows and not forgotten. How do you plan on showing people why you are the front runner here?
You know what? For years, I've been looked at as an underdog, and I've been overshadowed and everything. People just look right past me for whatever reason it is, and I just keep it all inside until it's time for the match, and then I do the best I can to prove them wrong. But it's different now, and I'm sick of it. This is Shayna's fault. This is Becky's fault. Everything that they had coming for them the last few weeks and everything that they have coming for them tonight is their own fault.
Hey, Bayley, it's David Otunga here. Just a question for you. Do you feel like one woman presents more of a challenge for you than the other, either Becky or Baszler?
They're the same to me. They're the same target. Pin one or the other, submit one or the other, doesn't matter. Tonight is my night.
Hey, Bayley, this Booker T, you know, you're not flying the, the Bayley, the on the stage, got everything waving. You're not having the Bayley Bears. You're not smiling anymore. You're in a match with Shayna Baszler, who right now everybody thinks she's the best. Right now, you got a chance to prove how good you really are. You're in a perfect spotlight. How are you taking that? I mean,
well, first of all, Booker, with all due respect, they're not called Bayley Bears. They're Bayley Buddies.
Bayley Buddies.
So let's get it right, all right? And I have respect for Shayna. She's a two-time NXT champion, NXT Women's Champion, the division that I built with Sasha Banks. So I know what it takes to be in the position that she is right now. But I'm better. I've been doing it longer than her.
Bayley, we wish you the best of luck tonight. No doubt you will bring exactly what you've been bringing the last couple of months. So thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, so let's discuss this match for a second. Clearly,
I like this Bayley.
She's different, new attitude, new haircut, and she uses the word different a lot. What do you think has been the biggest difference for Bayley the last couple of months?
I mean, it's her whole mindset. You can tell in just the way she looks, the way she carries herself. My son happened to be tuning in. He was like, whoa, what happened to Bayley? And he was upset. She's not happy anymore. And I think that's added a real edge to her. I think that's what she's needed all along, to be honest with you.
I think, when the spotlight is shining on someone, a little bit more than it is on you, you tend to want to have a little bit more of an attitude. You want to be a little bit more edgy. And Becky Lynch, man, over the last year, man, she's been having a lot of hype behind her. And then Shayna Baszler coming on, there's a lot of hype behind her. So, hey, what's the best thing? What's the next thing you're going to do? You're going to act out a little bit. And I think that's what's happening right now with Bayley. She's acting out, and I like it.
You know what, though? I will say, I think this side of Bayley is, is everyone wants to think it's the new Bayley. I think this has always been inside of her. I think she just wanted to keep a slightly different demeanor to appease the younger fans, appease the audience. But really, when she saw that everyone else had this edge, she realized that this might be what she needs to bring out of herself.
And
to not let everybody run over her.
Go out here and hurt somebody.
Exactly.
I like the attitude.
That's a great point, too, because did you hear how she jumped all over Booker? He called him, whatever you called him, you didn't call him Bayley Bears.
Bayley Bears. The Bayley Buddies.
Maybe we can start selling
those. She takes that serious.
Yeah.
Man, I was afraid to mention them. I didn't want to talk about the inflatable
We've only got about 30 seconds left as we wrap up this discussion. How do you think, and I'll get both 15 seconds each, how do you think tonight is going to go? Very unpredictable.
I mean, it's very hard to go against Becky Lynch. She's been the man, for some time now, but Shayna Baszler is the wild card. In fact, she's the queen of spades, and I like her. And, just seeing when she was coming in, did you see the swag? How she carried herself? There is not 1 ounce of fear in here.
She's ruthless.
I like it, yeah.
I agree. I mean, Shayna Baszler, she was sweating when she walked in. She already got a sweat on. So, I like Shayna Baszler in this deal.
I like Shayna Baszler.
You cannot fake swag. And Shayna Baszler has swag for days. Again, Baszler, Bayley, Becky Lynch tonight should be incredible. All right, the kickoff show, Action in the Ring, live next.
Grubhub, America's leader in food delivery, just got better. Introducing Perks, millions of dollars in deals and free food nationwide. Download the Grubhub app today and see the perks waiting for you.
Well, as we mentioned, action going to start inside the ring here, but it's all about NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown for the first time ever at Survivor Series. Vic Joseph alongside SmackDown's Corey Graves and NXT's Nigel McGuinness. Are you guys ready? Because history will be made tonight.
I cannot wait to prove to both of you and the entire world why Friday Night SmackDown is the superior brand.
You might have to eat those words because right now is the perfect opportunity to NXT to step up and prove they are the A brand in WWE.
All right, now let's go in ring to Greg Hamilton to get us started at Survivor Series.
The following contest is the cross-branded over-the-top rope tag team battle royal. and start inside the ring. Eliminations will occur when a superstar is thrown over the top rope. Once one member of your team is eliminated, his partner is eliminated as well. The last remaining team inside the ring will be declared the winner!
That was my fault. That's Mike Rome, actually, Graves.
He looked like me about 2 years ago.
Introducing first, the best tag team in the world, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the OC!
Sold out crowd filing into the Allstate Arena here in Chicago, as we mentioned, and there is the best tag team in the world. Gallows and Anderson outlasting the rest of the competition at Crown Jewel, winning the largest tag team turmoil match in history.
Well, Vic, you got to feel pretty confident having the OC represent Monday Night Raw in this Battle Royal. But this is what I'm all about. Couple of top guys.
Making their way to the ring, Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder, the Revival!
Well, after seeing the Revival's match with Fish and O'Reilly on NXT this week, I've got to say, Revival have a good chance of winning this whole thing.
Here's another team that was very impressive, even in defeat this past week on NXT.
And making their way to the ring, accompanied by Jackson Riker, Wesley Bake, and Steve Color, the Forgotten Son!
The Savages of NXT, a truculent trio, absolutely dominating in their offense. They will have a great chance here with Jackson Riker on the outside.
They may have a great chance, but they will never be glorious.
And next, Dolph Ziggler and the glorious Robert Roode!
A pair of former Raw Tag Team Champions continue to impress and gel together as a unit in record time.
Well, a lot of shine, but we will see what substance is behind the former Raw Tag Team Champions.
Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits!
And here's a duo who has been racking up the wins on Raw. Quite the rivalry with the OC. It's going to be interesting to see if the Street Profits and the OC have a little bit of unity in this opening matchup here at Survivor Series.
I'll give credit where it's due. The Street Profits have been impressing me since their days in NXT, but now proud representatives of Monday Night Raw.
The team of Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder!
Here comes two superstars who are always grateful they're still here. Former tag team champions. Could be a sneaky pick here at Survivor Series.
Tyler Breeze and Fandango Breezango!
Well, someone mopped the brow of Beth Phoenix. Here comes the hip-wiggling aficionado and the most handsome narcissist in NXT today. You love that music, eh, Vic?
I'm just
settle down.
I'm just curious as to why you're dancing right now.
Well, this is why Nigel's going to dance for the next 30 seconds or so. We know McGinnis loves the Lucha House Party.
The Lucha House Party!
And it's Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik in this matchup. Kalisto will be in the NXT Cruiserweight Championship triple threat match. Still to come here on the Survivor Series kickoff show.
Oh, wait a second. The totalitarian tyrants of NXT UK.
And making their way to the ring, accompanied by the United Kingdom champion Walter, Fabian Aichner, and Marcel Bartel, Imperium!
The most dominant faction in NXT UK today, and they have run roughshod over every brand in WWE.
We just heard a few moments ago from HBK himself, Walter, a member of tonight's NXT men's team on the 5-on-5-on-5 match.
And their opponents, Otis and Tucker, Heavy Machinery!
Not usually a massive fan of Otis and Tucker, but tonight they're representing my blue brand, and I've got to think that center of gravity that Otis possesses has to give him a good chance of staying in this Battle Royal for a while.
So as we see, just over 70 minutes away from the official start of Survivor Series, starting off with a cross-branded tag team battle royal. And guys, Corey, I'll start with you. Big momentum could be started right now for one of these brands.
No doubt about it. All three locker rooms, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, are backstage keeping a close eye on everything that develops tonight. This is a big opportunity to start some momentum.
You better keep a close eye on that Best in the World Tag Team trophy there. Otis tried to steal it. Maybe try to eat that as well.
Well, again, the rules, once you're thrown over the top rope, both feet hit the floor, you and your partner are eliminated, and we are underway from Chicago.
It will be interesting to see whether we do get some inter-brand help within this match, or whether it will be every team for themselves.
Well, Nigel, do you think we'll see any of that?
It'd be interesting to see. I couldn't make that statement right now. I mean, how much loyalty do you think there really is between these tag teams, Corey?
At this point, you need to keep loyalty only to your partner.
Whoa,
but it also
whoa.
It adds a whole new dimension to the Battle Royal in that you don't have to only worry about yourself. You have to keep an eye on your partner.
Oh, look at holding on.
Lince Dorado.
And there's Riker on the outside, not one of the members in this matchup.
Oh, Dorado's pretty safe. He's got 9
that was an
lives.
elimination.
No,
Steve Cutler has been
on.
eliminated. Forgotten Sons are out. And the match continuing here, so NXT already down a team, Corey.
Wait a second, Dorado.
Oh my God! And Lince Dorado's out.
Oh, forget about those 9 lives. Gone in a heartbeat.
SmackDown now has lost a team as well. Look at Angelo Dawkins throwing rights, and Dolph Ziggler holding on.
Dolph Ziggler historically has performed very, very well in Battle Royal scenarios, Royal Rumble matches. Dolph knows how to survive in circumstances like this.
Well, we talk about teams working together. The Revival trying to eliminate Otis. That's SmackDown on SmackDown.
Again, the only loyalty the Revival feel right now are to one another.
Watch out, Big Dozer ready to go.
Ziggler joining the fray as well. Dozer, the largest superstar in this Battle Royal, able to fight out with the help of his partner.
Big kick from Hawkins connects.
Oh, Hawkins went through the middle rope. He is still legal. Ryder, however, up and over. And that's the first team from Raw that is eliminated.
Marcel Bartel, the impeccable German with the elimination. Hold on. No, no, no.
Bartel trying to hold on. Are we going to get another elimination of NXT? Fabian Eichner being held. Bartel's partner by Dolph Ziggler. Otis with Bartel teetering. Both feet have to touch.
Come on, come on. Well done, Marcel Bartel.
Able to hold on now. Dolph Ziggler's teetering.
Oh, look at this. Fabian Eichner, the pride of Italy, the power man.
You see Walter on the outside barking at Fabian Eichner. You see all the superstars in the ring battling it out in this over-the-top rope cross-branded tag team battle royal.
Montez Ford in jeopardy on the outside of the ring. That's not where you want to be in this scenario.
He got back under the bottom rope, though, so he is back into the ring as Montez Ford.
Partner Angelo Dawkins throwing some haymakers in the back corner.
Big Luke Gallows there trying to put Bartel out.
Well, look at Eichner now.
Oh, here's
Ziggler. Ziggler's over the top rope, guys. Ziggler trying to hold on. Bartel trying to eliminate Ziggler.
Go for the hands. Go for the hands.
We're going to get another SmackDown elimination. Ziggler now. You talk about performing well, Graves.
Watch out.
In Battle Royals.
Also watching the back of your screen, Prince Pretty in some jeopardy. Tyler Breeze hanging on.
Oh, and that's Tucker from Heavy Machinery almost out. Ooh. Again, Ziggler did go over the top rope, as did Fabian Eichner.
Ziggler and Eichner both doing battle, trading shots left and right.
Ooh. Eichner would do well to slip out on that bottom rope and get back inside, but wait a second.
Imperium trying to work. Oh, and Robert Roode. Robert Roode able to cut off at the passage. Ziggler's, he's teetering again. Roode trying to hold on.
Beautiful assist by Robert Roode coming to the aid of his tag team partner.
SmackDown catching a little bit of a break early on.
The epitome of tag team excellence there. One tag team partner always watching the other.
Imperium is eliminated. I'm taking a look, Corey. I think there's only one NXT team left.
Breezango.
I think that's it, Nigel.
This is a disastrous start for the black and gold brand, but yet.
Oh, no.
Oh, good Lord, no. Oh, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty about to have a big fall.
I'm pretty sure Humpty Dumpty never did the Caterpillar, McGinnis.
Oh, look at that.
Well, wait a minute now. The OC and the Revival teaming up. And Otis has been eliminated. Heavy Machinery is out. SmackDown down another team.
Boy, I used that line at the wrong time.
No flips, just fists. That's what the Revival are all about. That's the Undisputed Era.
Oh. Take a look in the ring. The OC, Street Profits from Monday Night Raw, Revival from SmackDown, Breezango from NXT, and now, the Revival. In control, whoa. Fandango, he's not eliminated, guys. Fandango went through the middle rope. Tyler Breeze, however, up and over the top.
Oh, watch out.
The final NXT team's teetering, Nigel. The final NXT team's teetering.
Hold on a second. No, no, no. Brilliant.
Graves put back in it. Oh!
Oh, come on.
Didn't work the second time. So, Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, NXT is out.
Completely eliminated from this particular matchup. Going to have to look to recover later on in the night. Right now, beautiful double tag team work from the OC and the Revival.
Well, my pick's still in there, the Revival. Trying to put Ford to the outside.
Trying to get Montez Ford out. Angelo Dawkins helping out his teammate. Double drop kicks. Revival eliminated.
Well, just like I thought, eventually someone was going to get the better of the Revival.
But it's 2 teams from Raw, 1 team from SmackDown. Team Red looking pretty good right now, Graves.
Vic, how big would it be for the OC to capitalize not only on becoming the best tag team in the world, but winning this cross-branded Battle Royal to kick off Survivor Series?
Not only that, how about the Street Profits coming over in the WWE Draft, taking Monday Night Raw by storm. But right now, it's Big Luke Gallows in control of Robert Roode. Roode, the last member. Uh-oh, tag team tandem by the best tag team in the world. And the OC could be closing in with the Street Profits, this being down to 2 Raw teams.
Uh-oh, Gallows and Anderson, here it comes. Looking for the Magic Killer. No! With the interception, saved Robert Roode and his team's chances in the Battle Royal.
And Gallows, oh, hold on. Gallows hanging on a right hand to Roode. Super kick, Gallows gone.
He is gone.
So we're down to the Street Profits. We're down to Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. 1 team from Raw, one team from SmackDown. I'm so excited right now, Corey.
I can tell you right now, the SmackDown locker room is looking on with excitement and complete confidence in Roode and Ziggler.
A line drawn in the sand.
Well, who is going to gain the early advantage for their brand here at Survivor Series? And all 4 superstars slugging it out. Now Dawkins holding on, the largest of all the final 4 competitors. Got to give the experience advantage, though, Nigel, to Roode and Ziggler.
Well, I would say so, potentially. Oh, wait a second.
Spine buster! Complexion changed, but you got to get Dawkins up and over the top rope, Corey.
Dawkins is a very, very large human being. It's going to be a lot easier said than done, but if anyone can figure out the task, it's Roode and Ziggler.
Ziggler, oh!
Disaster strikes, but...
Oh, again, Roode not eliminated, but Dolph Ziggler now.
A very rare miscommunication between Roode and Ziggler.
Ziggler puts on the brakes on Montez Ford. Ford's got to hang on for Raw. Team Red, Team Blue. Oh, what a right hand.
That landed.
Sky high.
Watch out.
Montez Ford looking to fly. Oh!
Hung up across the top rope. Dawkins connects with a right.
Both superstars are teetering. Ford's teetering. Both feet have to hit. Roode's teetering as well. Ziggler from behind.
Dawkins able to shrug off Dolph. Big time right connects.
Now Dawkins, the curse of greatness.
Ziggler.
Oh, he got caught.
DDT by Ziggler. Ford, though. Look at the height. How did Ford change his... Wait a minute, Roode from behind. No!
Yes!
Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler.
Chalk 1 up for Friday Night SmackDown, and the Blue Brand kicking things off here at Survivor Series in a big, big way.
There you see SmackDown on the board first, and I mean, Corey, you can go back to things happened on Friday with King Corbin with Roode and Ziggler. King Corbin has spoken very highly on this duo.
King Corbin knows exactly what he's talking about. Ziggler and Roode know exactly who they want leading SmackDown, which is exactly why King Corbin will lead SmackDown to victory later tonight.
Well, it's early days here tonight. This is a marathon, not a sprint, but look at the speed here.
I mean, Montez Ford, I mean, guys, he literally jumped out of the frame.
That is superhuman athleticism. Bang. Walking highlight reel is Montez Ford, but unfortunately, Robert Roode just too cagey, too aware of the situation, and Roode and Ziggler pick up the W.
Talked about the experience factor paying off for Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, but more importantly for Team Blue as SmackDown picks up the first win of the night here at Survivor Series.
I play football. I always have. Some kids paint, some kids dance. My dream is the pros. I'm not the most talented, but but I make up for it with hard work. Each team has 53 men. 10 more make the practice squad. That's 63 spots. Then there's me, the 64th man. Thanks, fellas. Call me.
Ready for this, Stunner? Give me a hell yeah! This is the Broken Skull Sessions. No gimmicks, just straight shooting the shit and telling damn good stories. On the premiere episode, I get inside the skull of the legendary Undertaker. I've talked with some of the best, and no one can pull this off other than you. You're the Undertaker. Who do you go to for advice? Make sure to catch a premiere episode of the Broken Skull Sessions immediately following Survivor Series.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Is there a human being on planet Earth that does not want to see Stone Cold and The Undertaker sit down tonight live after Survivor Series? All right, we are heading into hour number 2. Sold out here at the Allstate Arena as the fans continue to file in here in the WWE Universe. What a weekend it's been already. And we're getting you set for the top of the hour, 7 Eastern, right here on the WWE Network as Survivor Series now is Raw, SmackDown, and as you just saw, NXT and SmackDown, they get the first point on the board, so to speak, here tonight. Let's get to know our panel here for hour number 2. Charlie Caruso, hello to you.
Hello, Coach. We're glad to be here. You know, NXT getting that first point, I don't know, that might be a sign of things to come, because last night they tore the roof off of this place.
NXT didn't get the first point. SmackDown did.
SmackDown getting the first point.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
That's okay. You said exactly what I told you to say. WWE Hall of Famer, 2-time, and of course, co-host of WWE Backstage, Booker T.
I mean, if you just watch that last match right there, the most experienced, guy came out at the end of the night. And I think that's what's going to happen with Survivor Series. The most experienced team going in is going to win. The most experienced player coming out is going to have the best advantage.
And also a member for hour number 2. He just got done filming his new special, Fireside with Christian.
Is that a shot at the turtleneck?
It is.
That's stylish.
It is.
I like the turtleneck.
You should check it out. Thanks, Charlie.
You know what, Renee
Thanks,
and I
Charlie.
were backstage, we were just talking about together in the makeup area,
Very
how we like the
isn't it?
turtleneck.
Yeah.
I like the jacket. The jacket is player.
You got my back, Booker.
Player.
Well, now since you guys are partners on Backstage, all of a sudden you got his back.
We got that Fox money, baby.
You got to.
Christian, you were a part quickly of several Survivor Series.
Right.
How did you change your mindset quickly when you went into a night like tonight?
Well, actually, I'll just put it to you like this, Coach, and going off what Booker said. For many superstars, this Survivor Series is the biggest stage they've ever been on, particularly NXT. And some people fold under the pressure, but true champions step up and give performances of their lifetime in pressure situations. I think something huge is going to happen tonight. I think somebody's stock is going to go through the roof tonight, and I'm just glad I get to be here to witness it.
Hold on, you can't just say that and not tell us exactly what you're talking about. What do you think's going to happen? What one thing? I think that there's one of these NXT superstars is going to shock the world.
Like my daddy used to say, Queen rise to the top, son. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I think we are expecting some pretty spectacular things to happen, Christian. But you know what? There's only one place that you can really watch all of the Survivor Series action, and that, of course, is on the WWE Network. So everybody, you really don't have much time, so stop wasting it. Go to WWENetwork.com right now. Sign up, because Survivor Series is free for new subscribers. And not only that, but next month's TLC, also free for new subscribers. This place is going nuts.
Yeah, the energy in here is really off the charts. Let's get right to it. How about this one? No holds barred, no disqualification. Rey Mysterio. It's not just guys and ladies. David versus Goliath. This is about Rey Mysterio trying to figure out how to harness his emotion and do the unthinkable. Beat the Beast here live tonight.
And tonight, Daniel Bryan, he is willingly stepping into the ring with the Fiend Bray Wyatt with the Universal Championship up for grabs. The question is, will Daniel Bryan be able to escape the darkness with the title in tow?
And last night, Pete Dunne, what a victory in a triple threat match. He wins it. His prize, a one-on-one title shot for the NXT Championship tonight against Adam Cole. And Adam said earlier live right here on the kickoff show, I'm still Adam Cole, baby.
Baby. And this one is going to be fun. It is a triple threat showdown as the United States champion AJ Styles, the Intercontinental champion Shinsuke Nakamura, and the North American champion Roderick Strong all face off in a free-for-all. And guys, we all know their cohorts are going to be close by.
Well, we do have the traditional 5-man elimination matches tonight with a twist. Raw, certainly here. SmackDown, of course. But now NXT is here in their mind to ruin the party.
And in a match that boasts 3 of the toughest and the most fearless women in WWE history, it's Raw champion Becky Lynch, SmackDown champion Bayley, and NXT champion Shayna Baszler, all looking to beat each other senseless.
And we found out just moments ago right here on the kickoff show who would be the 5 women representing the NXT brand. Ripley, LeRae, Storm, Ray, Blair. They are going to try and figure out a way to get along here tonight in the 5 women Survivor Series elimination match. Well, we promised 3 matches here on the kickoff show. It's time for number 2, and I think you're gonna like it. Let's send it back down to ringside.
More cross-branded action here on the Survivor Series kickoff show.
The following contest, scheduled for one fall, is a triple threat match for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Introducing first, representing Lucha House Party, Kalisto.
We saw earlier on tonight, SmackDown already on the board, and now Kalisto also representing SmackDown, also with an opportunity to add to the lead. Hello everyone, Byron Saxton here, and I'm joined by the hometown boy himself, Aiden English.
That's right, we're in Chicago, baby. You know tonight from beginning to end is going to be electric, and you know this match will be as well.
Next, from Kobe, Japan, weighing in at 156 pounds, Akira Tozawa.
Akira Tozawa, also a former Cruiserweight champion, now representing Team Raw in this Cruiserweight title matchup.
I've gotten to see a lot of Akira Tozawa over the last year or so, and this is a guy who will not be denied, has earned himself several championship opportunities, and now has one here tonight as well.
Unbelievable atmosphere in Chicago. We are sold out. The WWE Universe still filling in.
And from Washington, D.C., he is the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, Lio Rush.
And talk about someone, Aiden, and Lio Rush, the Cruiserweight Champion, who has undergone a great deal of emotional turmoil here in WWE recently. We'll touch on that in a few moments. But first, WWE Survivor Series is presented by Career Builder. Create a resume on your phone for free at CareerBuilder.com. Career Builder, work can work.
And by the new Audible original 64th Man starring John Cena. Listen free with a 30-day trial. Go to audible.com/Cena.
The NXT Cruiserweight Champion Lio Rush, of course, representing Team NXT, who had an amazing night last night at NXT TakeOver War Games. You wonder if Lio can continue that momentum here tonight.
He's certainly going to try, but he's got a tall task in 2 former Cruiserweight champions, that being Kalisto and Akira Tozawa, who both have their sights set on the man of the hour.
I touched on this earlier, the emotional state of Lio Rush. You've seen this firsthand on 205 Live and on NXT. His issues with Angel Garza that have become extremely personal, involving Rush's wife.
Well, Lio brought his wife to that matchup as he's ready here for a fight himself, but Angel Garza has got to be in the head of the champion, and maybe that's why he thought he could take on 2 guys at once just now.
I talked briefly with Lio earlier on. He said, I don't have a personal issue. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Roll up here by Tozawa.
Not too happy about that attempt by Tozawa.
Well, again, the old adage is you have to have your head on a swivel when you're in a triple threat matchup. But, you know, back to Lio Rush, who said, I don't have a personal issue with these guys, but I'm angry, I am ticked off, and these 2 are going to see it. Now it's Rush, the Cruiserweight Champion, trying to retain. Oof.
I think it's hard for him to say that he doesn't have a personal issue when he took a sucker punch to Angel Garza last night after his match against Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Rush trying to use some evasion and pays for it, courtesy of Kalisto on the outside. Now Tozawa on the move gets caught. Tozawa got caught by Kalisto.
Talk about having your head on a swivel.
There's Kalisto's running buddies, Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik. We saw them earlier on in that cross-branded battle royal, unsuccessful. Perhaps Kalisto can turn around the fortunes for not only the Lucha House Party, but add another point to Friday Night SmackDown.
See him here bouncing, off those ropes.
Kalisto fending off Rush and Tozawa very well, quickening the pace. This is where Kalisto thrives.
And this building is also where Kalisto thrives.
Oh
my goodness.
Tozawa trying to muscle up Kalisto, who meets the boot of the NXT Cruiserweight Champion.
You know this match is going to be fast and furious, non-stop from beginning to end. These guys know each other in and out too.
Oh, without question. Lio Rush, incredible story of redemption.
Really turned himself around.
On a hiatus for about 5 months, came back, returned to NXT, returned to 205 Live, won the Cruiserweight Championship. Tozawa and Kalisto looking for the double team and it backfires.
Kalisto really turned his life around. He's really turned this match around with that one maneuver right there.
It's a cover by Rush on Tozawa, and remember, Rush does not have to be pinned to lose the Cruiserweight Championship.
You got it, going back to what we were talking about earlier. You see him there, very proud of that NXT banner that he carries on his back, but just as proud of that NXT Cruiserweight Championship.
Great athleticism displayed by Rush, who gets caught. Very similar to the shot we saw Lio Rush deliver to Angel Garza last night.
Yeah, that cheap shot. Thank goodness Angel Garza's face is insured for $650,000.
Yeah, more of a receipt, Aiden. I mean, you got to understand the emotional duress that Lio Rush has been under. Oh my. Kalisto taken out now. Tozawa isolated with the champion.
Which must mean that Angel Garza's in the head of the champion, which might be affecting him in this matchup right now.
This may be the opportunity for Tozawa to regain the Cruiserweight title.
Almost, but somehow the man of the hour stays the man of the hour and the champ of the hour for a little bit longer.
And how about the sense of urgency, Aiden, knowing, okay, you got one man out right now. You got Kalisto on the outside of the ring. You have Lio Rush isolated. You have to act quick and you have to act big.
That's right, because all of that is subsidized by for now, because you never know when that third man comes back into the equation.
Rush here meeting Tozawa on the second rope. Only bad things can happen here. Now Kalisto back in the mix.
There it is. There's that third man, that X Factor. You always got to watch out.
Oh, hold on. Might be looking for the trifecta here. Kalisto and Tozawa looks like trying to work together.
A little bit of communication there in a dangerous position for all three men.
What in the world?
I don't know what they got planned,
but
it can't be good.
On the top rope.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Oh! My goodness. Talk about an emphatic crash landing.
Incredible maneuver. I don't know who got the worst of that one. All three men, take a look at here, crashing to the ground. Looks like Lio Rush, boom! May have hooked both men. As we watch here, watch Kalisto and Tozawa get rolled over by Lio Rush, and boom!
Yeah, but I mean, Rush is in bad shape as much as his opponents are. Watch this again. I mean, credit Rush for quick thinking, but sacrificing his body in the process.
Almost a double Spanish fly of sorts. And now, man of the hour, the champ of the hour, back to his feet first.
Prime opportunity for the taking for Lio Rush to walk out of Chicago with his Cruiserweight Championship intact. Ooh.
Chops echoing through the Allstate Arena here in Chi-Town.
And again, you know, the competition in this match just speaks to the prestige of the NXT Cruiserweight Championship.
The entire Cruiserweight division is on fire, man. And they're willing to do what it takes to get the NXT
Quick strikes
Cruiserweight
by
Championship.
Rush.
Boom!
Tozawa meets him. Uh-oh. Counter for counter. Who's going to get the advantage? German into the cover. No. Now Kalisto. Kalisto may take this. Shoulders down. Not quite. 2 count only. I mean, Kalisto had a prime chance to steal it there.
What a couple of an incredible, furious flurry of kicks, followed by those pinning combinations. This match does not stop.
Yeah, we talked about it before. You know, Akira Tozawa representing Raw, Kalisto representing SmackDown, Lio Rush NXT, but all three of these men want so badly to walk out of here as a Cruiserweight champion. Look at this, this fast and furious action. First Tozawa with the German, and then right there Kalisto to take advantage, but not quite. Back to live action now, Kalisto.
Each man has come so close to winning it. Change could happen at any time. Could have a new champion at any time.
Kalisto might have been going for Salida del Sol. Looking for it again now. Oh, got it! Wow, uses Tozawa as a launching pad. Could be the cover in the center of the ring, and Tozawa breaks up the pinfall.
Ooh, an emphatic Shining Wizard from Akira Tozawa breaks up that pinfall. And now we are down to the Stamina Monster and the Man of the Hour.
The wheels are turning in the mind of Akira Tozawa.
Oh, we've seen this. Could be setting up for that big senton.
All the way to the top. Tozawa perched. Tozawa ready to strike. Oh, senton finds the mark into the cover. Oh, man, not quite again. Kalisto.
And look at the look on the face of Akira Tozawa. Take a look one more time. Watch the height on this senton. Connects perfectly with the champ. He thought it was over here, but Kalisto had eyes in the back of his own head.
You said it, Aiden. I mean, we've seen so many opponents fall. Oh, the top rope senton of Akira Tozawa, but thank Kalisto for the fact that this match will continue, which is kind of a treat for us.
Absolutely, and for everybody here in Chicago.
What are you doing?
Ooh.
What are you doing?
It's getting a little chippy.
Exchanging some words and now exchanging some strikes. It is furious.
Tozawa, Kalisto.
Tozawa could be out on his feet here. Kalisto bouncing off the ropes.
Oh. Now Kalisto gets caught. No. Salida del Sol executed by Kalisto. And now Lio Rush, where'd he come from? Up the top rope, the final hour.
But he's got to capitalize. He's got to get the cover here.
Here's the cover, hook the leg on Kalisto, and Lio Rush retains.
Here is your winner and still the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, Lio Rush.
Well, you see the scoreboard there, ladies and gentlemen. NXT now officially on the board.
And then Lio Rush, still your NXT Cruiserweight Champion.
We credit Lio Rush fighting off the emotions, fighting off the personal distractions to come out here and not only put NXT on the board, but successfully retain the NXT Cruiserweight Championship.
And see right here, boom, Kalisto thought he had that Salida del Sol locked in, but right out of almost nowhere, Lio Rush hitting that final hour.
Right place, right time, incredible height and incredible impact by Lio Rush. His victory has got to feel good for the champ of the hour.
We have seen two of the highest frog splashes you'll ever see in the history of the WWE. Still to come later tonight, how about this? Champion versus champion versus champion. AJ, Shinsuke, Roderick Strong, and everybody, when you think about what these three bring to the table and what they're going to be capable of here tonight, certainly they all want to show out. But to put these three in a match together, what do you expect, Booker T? Let's start with you.
Well, I do know Shinsuke Nakamura. He has that new piece of gold wrapped around his waist they unveiled last week. He's not looking to go out there and lose that, as well as Shinsuke Nakamura. He's just one of those unique talents.
Hey, wait just 1 minute. Wait just 1 minute. No. No, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Hey, you're not going to talk about a match that is a potential match of the year candidate in Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles versus Roderick Strong. You're not going to talk about it like it's any other match. You put a little respect on your tone when you talk about this match.
I just said, isn't it?
No. You're treating it like it's just any other match. You don't realize the level of artistry
when we talk about someone like Shinsuke Nakamura, we're talking about an artist.
They call him the artist.
No, that's not that. You don't just call him the artist. He is an artist, and you need to understand that. You need to respect that.
What are you talking about? Do respect it.
You don't get it. This guy doesn't get it.
All right, so
this guy doesn't get it.
If Booker T doesn't get it, what would you like us to get?
I would like you to understand, and not just call him an artist, because that's what we call him. To truly understand the caliber of superstar, the once-in-a-lifetime, the generational performer that Shinsuke Nakamura is, and that he has become since he is aligned with Sami Zayn.
Before he interrupt me, that's actually what I was going to
say.
say.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
Well,
come on, man.
Well, you're a really, really smart guy. We know that. You've got to have the utmost respect for the other two men who are going to be in the ring with your guy tonight.
Three champions, one ring.
Listen, I respect. I respect them on a certain level as competitors, yes. AJ Styles is a tremendous competitor. Roderick Strong is a tremendous competitor, but I wouldn't go so far as to call them artists or intellectuals by any means. You understand?
Sami, I got a question for you. I've actually been in a few matches of the year myself, so I can speak on this a little bit, but you're referring to
maybe
Nakamura.
a little bit. Maybe.
You're speaking to... You're talking about Nakamura. You keep saying that he's an artist. What makes him an artist above what AJ Styles or Roderick Strong do? What is the difference? Paint that picture for me.
Because you're looking at it as just like what he does in the ring. It's so much more than that. It's a mindset. It's not something you can put into words. It's either something you get, and some people don't, okay? It's either something you get or you don't. It's an intangible quality. There's a level of intellectualism, of philosophy, a poetry behind it.
Yeah, I guess.
There is a poetry behind it. Do you
What is it?
understand?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like fashion choices. You obviously don't get fashion choices.
You're just repeating taglines, Booker, okay? Calling him the rock star, the artist. These aren't just taglines we use.
I didn't call him the rock star.
It does seem like you're underestimating his opponents, though, tonight.
I just feel, I feel like you're underestimating Shinsuke Nakamura. And you're underestimating how important this match is and how great this match is going to be.
It's going to be great. We all know it's going to be great.
I can only take so much. I can only take so much disrespect. And I'm sitting out here, you're talking about everybody else, and you're not giving this match the proper importance.
We were actually getting ready to do that.
Of course.
Before
you're always getting ready. I was just about to say that. We were just about to cover that. Well, I'm here to make sure you do. Okay. I'm here to make sure you guys do your job properly.
What makes you so sure that Nakamura is going to come out on top? I mean, you talked about generational talent. I mean, you could say the same thing about AJ Styles, world heavyweight champion. Nakamura's never been a world heavyweight champion before.
That's
so
true.
I mean,
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one huge difference between Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles and Roderick Strong. Shinsuke Nakamura has Sami Zayn in his corner.
There you go.
Christian, he got you.
There you go.
He got you.
Two generational performers.
You know what?
You're putting yourself in that category.
Yeah, absolutely I am.
Okay.
Chuck D had Flavor Flav.
That's right. Well, I don't know if that's
Roderick Strong has the issue there on his side.
Do you know who Flavor Flav is?
I know who Flavor Flav is. Don't come at me like I have no credibility. I know the hip-hop game, all right? Public Enemy, please.
Can you talk a little bit about the history of AJ Styles and Nakamura? Can you talk about that at all?
Look, the past, when it comes to all that stuff, AJ Styles and Nakamura, that, I'll admit, that went one way. It did. And it went AJ Styles' way. But that was before he aligned with Sami Zayn.
Okay.
And now he is thinking clearly. He is seeing things clearly. He is performing better than ever. And tonight, I promise you, tonight, you are going to see the very best of Shinsuke Nakamura.
Hope he does. I'm a big fan.
You know what? Finish that off with, yeah, boy.
I am out of here.
Come on.
All Sami Zayn needs to do is ask, and he can come on the show. That's still to come. Plenty more in reaction also right here on the Kickoff Show.
Grubhub, America's leader in food delivery, just got better. Introducing Perks, millions of dollars in deals and free food nationwide. Download the Grubhub app today and see the perks waiting for you.
Gentlemen, Tonight is a big night for you as you are the first set of champions representing your brand in a match against the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Undisputed Era, and the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Viking Raiders. So with everything that's gone on over the last several weeks, how are you mentally preparing for your match?
How am I mentally preparing? Where's my head at? My head is in two different places. Number one, you see the armband. It's with my brother, Xavier Woods. You see the gear, the Get Well Soon Woods. It's a Get Well Soon card. And number two, I want to know what all the hype is about. You got the Viking Raiders, the Raw Tag Team Champions, who have been doing it all over the world, tag teaming together for a very long time. You got the Undisputed Era, who have been tagging for a very long time all over the world. But the one team that you cannot forget, Kayla, is your boys, the New Day, a.k.a. your 7-time WWE World Tag Team Champions.
Kayla, tonight is a reminder that we are the ones who held WWE Tag Team Championships for 483 days. A reminder that we are the ones who broke a WWE record that stood for over 20 years. And a reminder that we have been and still are the greatest tag team in all of WWE. Now, Kayla, if you will. Oh, Chicago! Don't you dare be sour. Clap for your world-famous 7-time champs and feel the power. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
The following contest is a tag team triple threat match scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, they are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Big E, Kofi Kingston, the New Day.
Well, no doubt the New Day 7-time Tag Team Champions could be considered the favorite in this matchup, but Corey, we want to welcome my Monday Night Raw broadcast partner, the King, the WWE Hall of Famer, Jerry Lawler.
Out here representing tonight, we got to get some victories.
King, we need a victory. We're down 1-1 to NXT and SmackDown.
Not good.
I got bad news. You saw the confidence in the eyes of Kofi and Big E. This looks like another win of many for the Blue Brand tonight.
Next, representing the Undisputed Era, they are the NXT Tag Team Champions, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly.
Right out of the gates, I have to just say how much respect I have that the entire WWE Universe has for both Fish and O'Reilly to even be able to compete tonight after the hellacious War Games match they participated in last night.
Well, you got that right, but I got to wonder how much gas do they have left in the tank after that hellacious War Games last night? What are they going to be like tonight?
King, to that point, what would your strategy be if you were the Undisputed Era tonight?
The Undisputed Era needs to stay out of the way and let the other two tag teams battle it out, and then come in and pick up the pieces. Stay fresh.
Very, very sound strategy, King. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's going to be a lot easier said than done, but O'Reilly and Fish have never met a fight they didn't like.
If we think about it, guys, it's going to be a long night, a hard night for NXT. All the superstars that competed just 24 hours ago at War Games.
Here we go. Come on, Raw!
And at a combined weight of 590 pounds, they are the Raw Tag Team Champions, Eric and Ivar, the Viking Raiders.
364 other nights a year, I would be the first to tell you to join the raid. I like everything about Eric and Ivar, but tonight they are going to fall to the SmackDown brand led by New Day.
I can only laugh at that.
Well,
look at these. Look at this. Has got to be the most imposing tag team that you've seen in a long, long time.
Oh, I completely agree, King. I am a big fan of what the Viking Raiders bring to the table.
Yeah.
I I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited about the prospect of the powerhouse Eric facing off with Big E. That's going to be a true Titanic collision.
Viking Raiders, team of few words, but Eric did say this is a vicious fight for survival tonight. There are no runner-ups.
I understand the Viking Raiders got a text just before this match from the Minnesota Vikings. They want to start wearing helmets like the Viking Raiders. I don't blame them.
I'm actually shocked Eric and Ivar have cell phones, to be honest.
If you're going to take football strategy from anybody, you want the Cleveland Browns and Myles Garrett, right, Vic?
All right.
There you go.
Oh, we are set. You see Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Big E, Kofi Kingston. It'll be Big E, Kyle O'Reilly, and Ivar. First team pinfall or submission picks up the victory for their brand and their team.
We know what a prolific striker both O'Reilly and Fish are. Smart strategy out of the gate, but you don't want to match power with Big E or Ivar.
Well, a quick tag was made. In comes Bobby Fish, and well, Graves talked about strategy early on. I mean,
you want to stick and move.
Oh my, look out! Oh, that's a double whammy for you.
Ordinarily, I'd say Fish and O'Reilly would have a distinct quickness advantage, but you're dealing with two of the most athletic big men in the business in Big E and Ivar.
Undisputed Era rolling out, and uh-oh. Here comes the showdown, Graves.
All right.
Oh! Here they go, these two big monsters throwing haymakers. Whoa.
Both superstars swinging, and look at the strength. What? Ivar able to slip down, but Big E showcasing that strength early on.
Whoa.
Now showcasing some athleticism.
Look at these guys. Whoop.
And
man.
Big E wins that collision.
They quickly back in as O'Reilly. Now O'Reilly, quick knees right to the midsection, trying to chop down Big E.
Now this is that strategy I was talking about. Undisputed Era, look out.
Bobby Fish pulling down the top rope, and his teammate an advantage, and now it's Undisputed Era, and oh no, they're in the wrong part of town, King.
Yes, they are.
Then comes Eric. We've seen this on Monday nights, King. How dominant have the Viking Raiders been?
Oh, without a doubt. Look at this. The great thing is each one of these big guys try to outdo the other.
The constant game of one-upsmanship has served the Viking Raiders well, King. Look at this.
Man. This could be
Ivar right down onto Bobby Fish.
Eric's so strong, he makes it look easy.
And tag was made. Kofi Kingston now is legal. And man, again, triple threat rules, and Kingston now back in.
And Kofi's had a few moments to be on the outside of the ring and really survey the situation, realize firsthand what he's dealing with.
Boom! What a drop kick.
Yeah, I saw Kofi over in the corner with a big smile on his face as Big E was shining in there, but these Viking Raiders can wipe that smile right off the face, doing that power of positivity.
Corey, New Day said they were the greatest tag team in all of WWE. It's hard to argue.
The accomplishments speak for themselves.
Tag.
Kofi Kingston, former WWE champion Solo, 7 times over WWE Tag Team Champions.
Covered by Big E, hook of the leg, and a kick out by Kyle O'Reilly.
O'Reilly already writhing in tag. To be fair, I'm sure Fish and O'Reilly both feeling some pain just making their entrance tonight.
Right.
And Kingston.
Oh, baby.
Up and over. Crashing down on O'Reilly.
Cover here by Kofi Kingston.
Hook of the leg. Is it enough? And SmackDown almost secured their second victory here at Survivor Series.
I guess Fish and O'Reilly did not listen to me when I told them what their strategy should be. Stay out of there. Let the other teams fight it out.
Yeah, but King, when you talk about the Undisputed Era, all 4 members are obsessed, almost possessed with proving that they are undeniably the best in the business. Tonight is the opportunity for them to prove that.
Nasty landing on the outside. Kingston standing tall.
Oh, watch out. Oh, man.
Isolating Fish, but take a look at this showdown, guys.
Here
We're on
we go.
SmackDown.
Here we go. Let's get it on.
And the Viking Raiders are Raw Tag Team Champions, slugging it out with SmackDown champs, the New Day.
Big E chucked to the outside.
Oh, watch out, guys.
Oh
my goodness.
And Eric just bulldozed into the barricade. Knee strike by O'Reilly connects right to the sternum of Kingston.
Kingston is rocked in Undisputed Era now. Oh,
the drop kick.
I was going to say it could be building momentum, but Fish, Kingston in his sights.
Ooh.
Kingston able to catch it, but now, again, look at the tandem offense.
Look out, Kofi.
And
you're in trouble.
Dragon screw, that'll destroy somebody's knee. Kofi Kingston just found out O'Reilly from the top.
And look at crashing down onto the left knee of Kingston. Quickly into a submission. No. Is Kofi Kingston going to tap out? Is Undisputed Era going to defy the odds tonight here at Survivor Series? Pick up the second win for NXT.
Oh, man.
They're trying to, and finally, Ivar breaks the hold.
Ivar might have broken more than just a hold.
Just under 30 minutes from the start of Survivor Series. Things breaking down in this triple threat tag team match.
Wow, this is amazing.
Erik with his hands on Kingston for just a moment. Kingston, who's held a tag team title longer than any other solo superstar in WWE history, trying to pick up a win tonight for New Day and SmackDown.
Kofi writhing and wriggling, trying to force his weight to back Erik into the corner now, unloading rights.
O'Reilly getting right back into it, and Kingston. I mean, this is a sound strategy by Kofi Kingston. Isolate an opponent and try to make it one-on-one.
No doubt about it. All three of these men in a precarious position on the apron.
Putting those feet to work. Right in the rib cage, man.
You can hear the WWE Universe sold out here in Chicago. Big E picking up some steam.
Nobody there.
O'Reilly. Able to get out of the way of Big E, but not the kick from Kingston, who got taken out. You got to give credit, guys. Credit is due to Undisputed Era.
No doubt about it, as we just heard the appreciation from the WWE Universe.
King, what's on the mind of the Viking Raiders?
It can't be good.
Don't do this.
You're kidding me. No. Oh, my gosh. It's like a building falling on you.
Erik and Ivar using one another as weapons for a common cause.
And this is huge now, King. This is huge for Raw. Raw needs a victory here at Survivor Series. Could we get it from Erik and Ivar, the Viking Raiders?
Well, I was about to say that it looked like Erik was about the freshest man out of the six here, but
take a look one more time at this impact. Ivar just wiping out the field.
Man.
Straight right hand between the eyes of Kyle O'Reilly, who's on spaghetti legs at this point.
Forearm by Erik. Erik so powerful, loves to fight. And now trying to take out one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions.
What a shot.
Again, these two teams no stranger to each other. As wait a minute, Bobby Fish finally back
in.
Watch Fish chopping down Erik to the left knee.
Oh, man.
Great kick to the jaw of Erik.
Hear that?
Like a Louisville Slugger making contact. Each one of those strikes from Kyle O'Reilly. Fish now legal, but what an answer from Erik.
Erik trying his best, but look at Bobby Fish. Fish is trying to chop Erik down, shot right to the back.
Hang on to that leg.
Fish answering right back in, knee square to the face of Erik.
Might have broken Erik's nose.
No kidding.
The lethal strikes, the lethal kicks of both members of Undisputed Era.
When you get struck like that in the middle of a battle, your eyes tear up. It becomes hard to breathe. It can be a true game changer, even if you're as tough as someone like Erik.
And I think you're right. He's trying to fake.
Let's not forget the chop block moments ago from Bobby Fish. Undisputed Era starting to physically dissect Erik in this matchup. And again, you got to wonder, King, Corey, about everyone on NXT. All the superstars that competed last night at War Games, again, competing tonight.
Physically, sure, a little worse than there, but I think the motivation is at an all-time high. Last night started the momentum. If it can carry through, it could be a big night for everyone in NXT.
Oh, boy.
What is on the mind now of Kyle O'Reilly?
Beautiful standing leg lock by O'Reilly. Oh, no! Hyper extending the knee.
Tag. Fish back into the matchup. King, have you ever seen, in our time doing Raw, the Viking Raiders in this sort of predicament?
No, you're right about that. They're in trouble. They need that tag, right? Nope.
And that just speaks volumes to the confidence of what this past week, what these past several weeks have done for Undisputed Era. They feel untouchable even after going through hell last night.
Well,
Erik now, just sent Fish for a ride into O'Reilly. And this is the moment Erik has needed, King. He's desperately got to make a tag.
Yeah, the Undisputed Era just got touched.
Ivar Jones and to get back in and join the fray, but can Erik
Come on, Erik. Come on, Erik.
Tag is made.
Baby. Here we go.
Here comes Ivar. Raw's got to get rolling. Big back body drop.
Look at this. Boom.
Ivar becoming a one-man wrecking crew. And, right down onto O'Reilly. Raw needs a win, and right now, the Viking Raiders, can they seal the deal in this triple threat tag team matchup?
Oh, what?
Oh, no, rare miscue by the Undisputed Era.
You're not kidding.
What a slam, center of the ring. Big E making it back in, Big E taken out.
Big E ran face first into that big kick.
And another strong strike by O'Reilly, and again, Undisputed Era.
Well, these guys, these Undisputed Era, they know what they're doing. They work on the legs every chance they get of these big monsters.
Great agility.
Look out. Oh.
Double forearms for Ivar. Where's Ivar going?
No, this can't be good. No, don't do it. Oh, look at that roll through.
Tag made.
Nice.
Eric's now legal. Double knees, wipes out Fish. Oh, no one there for Ivar.
O'Reilly with a save and a beauty.
Bodies all laid out around the floor, but now Kofi Kingston.
Look at Kofi.
Springboard got caught.
Nope.
I cannot believe it. Caught in midair.
Up and over goes Kingston.
Oh.
Kingston, the former WWE champion, with 2 feet to the chest.
Man.
Wiping out Eric. Tag was made. Big E now legal.
And had to knock every bit of the breath that was in Eric out.
Whoa!
Oh, man.
O'Reilly sent for the ride. Fish now. He bought a ticket as well.
Big E, a pancake-powered suplex machine at the moment.
What a kick from Kingston.
Whoa.
And the New Day is rolling.
Can you feel it, guys? I'm not talking about the power of positivity. I'm talking about another SmackDown win.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves,
It don't look
Corey.
like it right now.
As Eric now back on top of things here for Team Raw, for the Viking Raiders.
Oh.
Sharp, measured right.
Watch it. Oh, what a kick by Kingston.
Oh.
And the 7th time tag team champions looking for
Oh,
another
no.
win for
We
Team
need-
Blue.
We need help. We need help.
Kingston into the cover.
Gotta be it.
Kingston
No,
into the
don't
cover.
let him turn you over.
Hooks the leg, and Ivar breaks things up, luckily for us on Raw.
Ivar, right on the money.
Take a look at
Look
this.
out, look out. Whoa, no.
Beautiful height from Kingston. Double stomp, crashing down. In addition to the power bomb from Big E, double impact and almost a victory.
Well, Graves, you know what New Day is all about. They certainly are in their element right now.
No doubt about it. Kofi gonna take to the sky.
Wiping out Ivar in the Undisputed Era.
Oh, come on, get up, Ivar.
Big E is the legal competitor for New
Oh,
Day.
no. Oh, what a spear right through
All
the ropes.
6 superstars down.
The Allstate Arena has just come to its feet.
Stay down, stay down.
Look
Watch
at the
this.
impact.
Oh.
Boom by Big E. And a tag was made back to live action. Kofi Kingston, I believe, is legal.
Bobby Fish trying to preserve this matchup for the Undisputed Era.
Now O'Reilly getting in there. And, oh, a rough landing for Kingston as Big E now turns right back around.
Oh.
Just muscling E
Oh. Devastating knee. Tag made. In comes Ivar.
That hit Big E so hard his kids will be born dizzy.
Raw SmackDown Tag Team Champions could be closing in on picking up a victory.
That's it.
Springboard German suplex.
Cover him.
He could be out, but wisely.
I'm not entirely sure Ivar didn't injure himself.
I think you're right. Ivar hurt his knee bad.
Oh,
come
Trouble in
on.
Paradise. Kingston missed it. High-low by Undisputed Era.
Kofi's finished.
Kingston's got to be wiped out.
Ivar looking to power through the pain.
Well, now if you take a look at the surroundings, Viking Raiders realize New Day's wiped out.
Eric and Ivar have the high ground at the battle for the moment. Well, they did.
Look out for that change in Undisputed Era now. Getting all on top of Eric. You mentioned Ivar moments ago, Corey. May not necessarily know where he is at. Took a nasty spill.
Ivar landed rough on his knee while delivering an offensive maneuver, which leaves Eric essentially outnumbered.
Oh! And this is what Undisputed Era, Fish and O'Reilly have done their entire careers.
Fish and O'Reilly treating Eric like a heavy bag. Rights and lefts, knees and kicks.
This is not looking good for Raw right now.
Oh! Divide and conquer, the MO of the Undisputed Era.
Look at this.
And it had no effect on Ivar King.
Oh my gosh! Look at Ivar.
Oh! Undisputed Era looking for high-low. Ivar countered.
Are you kidding?
And then ran through Undisputed Era.
Oh my, look out!
Oh, the big man! Come on, Ivar!
Ivar really showing out right now.
Up and down! Viking experience. Ivar's legal. Cover, count, and we're on the scoreboard, King! Ross picked up a win.
Here are your winners, the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Viking Raiders!
Gotta give the Devils their due. What an effort by Eric and Ivar. The field is now even. One win apiece.
I'm gonna give them not only their due, I'm gonna give them a standing ovation. Way to go, guys. That was awesome.
What a hard-fought victory for the Viking Raiders. Let's go back to right here. Bam, really the turning point in the matchup for SmackDown.
O'Reilly out of the way just in time. Beautiful, cohesive teamwork is what the Undisputed Era is all about. This athleticism is downright scary. Over 300 pounds, moving like a man half the size. Unfortunately for Kyle O'Reilly, hitting twice as hard.
Look at this.
Viking experience, sandwich style. A big, hard-fought victory for the Red Brand and the Raw Tag Team Champions.
I am so proud of you guys. That was great.
Eric and Ivar standing tall. The Raw Tag Team Champions get Team Red on the board here from Chicago at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
What an incredible match, and now we're all tied up if you're keeping score, and we are. One win apiece for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I've got two of the greatest tag team technicians this business has ever seen. Christian, what did you make of that match?
I mean, with the three teams involved, they're going to steal the show. I mean, is it possible to steal this show already that early? That's how good this match was to me. Look, a tag team match like this with the three teams involved, it's going to be an instant classic. It's just the Viking Raiders, to me, they're on a tear right now. They seem unbeatable at this point. I'm just glad that I'm sitting behind the desk at this point. I'm no longer a tag team wrestler. Thankfully for that.
You didn't want to be a part of that spirit by Big E? Is that what you're trying to say?
I definitely don't.
Wow. Booker T, it is always difficult when you're on the kickoff show not to steal the show and say to everybody else, you know what, we'll just set it up for you. That is three teams that don't care about anybody else.
You know, normally when you come out early, you want to just go out and, you know, kind of like set the tone, but it's different now in 2019. These young guys are all about coming out and giving these fans, the WWE Universe, everything that they want, man, and that's an awesome, awesome night. But Viking Raiders, man, Eric and Ivar, you talk about tag teams, watching your partners back, couldn't have been a better match, better performance those guys went out there and had tonight. And I see nothing but great things happening. I mean, did you see some of the moves those guys pulled off? For two big guys, they may be two of the big guys.
Booker, you said it's different now in 2019. I agree with you. Everybody seemingly goes out there with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
They want to be the best. And that's the attitude that you should go out there with. You should want to be the best. You should be able to walk back there and be like, nobody can follow what I just did.
Again, we talked about the Undisputed Era. We talked about NXT. I mean, those guys were on the roll, but it just goes to show you, man. I mean, those guys are dealing with more than just tonight. I mean, the compounding schedule that these guys have had over the last month is unbelievable.
No doubt, no doubt.
Well, we've seen three really great matches so far in the pre-show. I am happy to say, though, personally, that it's all going in on an even playing field, though. I think it just sets things up nicely. No one's got an advantage over each other. Let's see what all these superstars are made of come Survivor Series.
Thank you, Charlie, for that. Now,
of course,
we're going to leave it right there and put a button on it. We're under 13 minutes away from the start of Survivor Series live at the top of the hour right here on the WWE Network. Now, one of the big matches we're still looking forward to tonight, the Universal Championship is on the line. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, taking on Daniel Bryan. It all started over 2 weeks ago on Friday Night SmackDown on Fox when Wyatt suddenly attacked Daniel Bryan. Well, Bryan eventually challenged Wyatt, and Wyatt, more than happy to oblige.
Daniel Bryan's certainly been the cause of many questions being asked throughout the WWE Universe.
Daniel, I'm gonna cut right to the chase. Why do you think The Fiend attacked you? I think The Fiend sees that you're washed up. He sees you're not the same superstar you were 10 years ago. You're mentally unstable. Are you the ultimate underdog? Or are you the new Daniel Bryan? You have no idea who you are? Nobody has any idea who you are.
Shut your mouth! You don't understand the mental instability combined with this kind of passion. The mental instability that caused me to kill the Yes Movement. They don't understand the... Hi, Daniel. I know being confused is a very scary feeling, but maybe that's why he did it. To scare you. Or maybe he just wants to play with you. This is my favorite new toy. Do you want to come play? All you have to do is say that one magic word.
No! You're trying to manipulate me, you're trying to manipulate the people. I'm not a puppet. So if you want to fight, let's do it for the Universal Championship.
Yes. 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 Yes.
I think I can speak for everybody as we're less than 9 minutes till the start of Survivor Series right here on WWE Network that we have not been able to figure out, Christian, I'll start with you, what The Fiend Bray Wyatt is really all about. And he continues to take everything by storm, but now Daniel Bryan finds himself tonight in the crosshairs.
Right. I think what you're alluding to here is the fact that this internal struggle kind of Daniel Bryan has going on with himself. And here's the thing. I think, and we see The Fiend doing the yes. The Yes Movement was one of the biggest things in the history of the WWE. The Yes Movement propelled Daniel Bryan to the main event of WrestleMania to being a legit main eventer. And I think that something like that, you can't just say, oh, you know what, that Yes Movement, I'm going to do that again. I think a movement has to be organic. You can't just say it's a movement. You can't just tell me that. I think that, does he want to go back in the past? I mean, look, he takes being the Planet's champion very seriously, and I think he's got that conflict. Does he want to be the yes guy? Does he want to be the Planet's champion? Hey, I love his message with being the Planet's champion. I'm wearing hemp socks. My feet feel fantastic. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where his internal struggle lies. I think that, how can he move forward? I'm thinking, how can he move forward if it keeps going back to the past of you know, kind of giving this yes that the WWE Universe seemingly always wants.
That's a good point, Booker. I'll tag that in with The Fiend. You talk about organic. Has his description, has his personality, is what he's been doing the last several months been organic or completely calculated?
I don't think nothing changed. Since day one, Bray Wyatt has been trying to get the masses to just follow him and, you know, be a part of, you know, the Fireflies, you know what I mean? And I think he's done a great job. But I do think the one guy, Daniel Bryan, who is unique, he's different than any guy in that locker room. And I said, you know, who's going to be the guy to take, you know, Bray Wyatt down? Who's going to be the guy to, you know, take The Fiend down? And I look at Daniel Bryan. He's a guy that don't mind coming out here and staying out here all night long, no matter how long it takes to get the job done. That's Daniel Bryan. If it take 30 minutes, he don't mind. If it take an hour, it don't mind. So Daniel Bryan, if it's anybody in the locker room that can give the Fiend the test that he's looking for, it's going to be my boy, D. Bryan.
I mean, you call Daniel Bryan determined, which he is, but is determination going to be enough? I mean, we're talking about the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. I mean, it's something else. I don't even know if it's human.
It's like the movie Jaws. You know what I mean? You got to draw him in. You got to draw him in and drown him. You got to take him into deep waters.
All right.
We'll see how deep those waters are later tonight. Charlie?
All right, well, Survivor Series is going to be one hell of a night. And ladies and gentlemen, there is only one place and one place only to catch all of the action. That is on the WWE Network. So right now, you do not have much time. You got less than 10 minutes. You need to go to WWENetwork.com and sign up because Survivor Series is free for new subscribers. And it does not stop there because next month's TLC is also free for new subscribers. Free 99. Look and see. Let's talk about tonight.
Yeah, we're going to be live in Minneapolis for TLC. But tonight, how about this? Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar, no holds barred, no disqualification. For Rey Mysterio, this has become very personal. It's about his family. He had his son brutally attacked. But tonight, a chance to do yet another remarkable thing in his career, and that is beat the Beast right here in Chicago.
And I'll tell you what, I am so stoked for this match. All three in the women competing in this match tonight can only be described as badass. But tonight, the Raw champion Becky Lynch, SmackDown champion Bayley, and NXT champion Shayna Baszler are out to prove who exactly is the baddest.
And the NXT brand takes center stage in this one. The champion, Adam Cole, takes on Pete Dunne. Now, last night, 24 hours ago, Pete Dunne won a triple threat match to earn this opportunity. It would be an incredible weekend if Dunne can do the Chicago two-step, as it were, and beat Adam Cole here tonight.
I don't know how to do the Chicago two-step, but
I'll teach you. It's okay.
All right. We'll talk about this next match. It is a triple threat battle between three ultra-talented competitors. The United States champion, AJ Styles, the Intercontinental champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the North American champion, Roderick Strong. All three of these men looking to decimate each other.
And don't forget, we have the traditional Survivor Series 5-member elimination matches. Raw and SmackDown was set coming into tonight. We found out earlier right here on the kickoff show when Shawn Michaels gave us the 5 members of NXT. A lot of them had brutal nights at War Games. How much will they have left here tonight for this big-time match?
We'll definitely find out what type of condition they're in tonight. We also will find out which brand boasts the best women's division. The first ever 5-woman Survivor Series elimination match between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT will answer that very question. And ladies and gentlemen, I've got some news for you. That match will be kicking off Survivor Series.
Well, this has kind of been the year, right, for the Women's Revolution and for Becky Lynch.
I'm here for it.
And now Bayley leading the charge, and Shayna Baszler finds herself tonight in the main event as far as a lot of people are concerned. So Booker T, we only have a couple of minutes left. The women's match is going to kick off the show. How important is it for each brand to get off to a good start on Survivor Series?
Well, you talk about Shayna Baszler in this environment. I think she's going to be very comfortable. I think she's looking to come out here and make a name for herself. I mean, I always say a moment is something that you cannot get back. So I'm looking forward to seeing the ladies come out here and tear the house down.
You know, for me, you're talking about Shayna Baszler. She has an aura about her, kind of like Brock Lesnar has an aura. When Brock Lesnar walks into a room, things get uncomfortable quick.
Yes.
And Shayna has that same quality about her. There's something that feels not quite right, that it could go off the rails at any second. She's dangerous, and she's going to prove herself here tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I sat down with Becky Lynch a few weeks ago and Shayna interrupted that interview, she sat down, immediately made her presence felt, and I knew from that very moment she was out to make a statement, and I think she's going to do that tonight.
Let's remember Baszler and her entire posse and Ronda Rousey all came together. Ronda. You can't forget about Ronda, even though she's not here. Her influence is certainly felt.
Yeah. I mean, when Stone Cold used to say, "Open up a can of whoop ass," it's true. It's true. I mean, Ronda Rousey did it, and I think Shayna Baszler walks in that same in those same blueprints.
And I think Shayna wouldn't mind getting a little bit of revenge for her friend Ronda losing the title to Becky at WrestleMania.
Exactly.
I think there's going to be a lot of revenge happening tonight.
All right. Christian, Booker, Charlie, thank you very much. We are just about set. Survivor Series is one of the iconic nights of the entire year. But tonight, for the first time ever, the upstart, edgy NXT brand, well, they have forced their way into the party. It's about figuring out a way to shine the light on yourself, but understand the bigger picture. It's time to put up or shut up. Survivor Series is next, and we kick things off with the traditional Elimination Survivor Series women's match for the first time. Enjoy.